In Season 2 of Aggretsuko, we got a good look at a young new salaryman named Anai. But the focal point of that show is still the plight of the office lady in a very accurate manner that a lot of Japanese women can relate to. But what about the men? Well, enter Africa no Salaryman, which takes place in an Africanized version of Japan with jungle creatures so as not to look too much like it's biting off of Aggretsuko. Personally, I hate that I can relate to, or at the very least am aware of, all the little cultural intricacies of this anime. And as much as it makes me chuckle, African Salaryman also makes me cringe, whether it's an aspect of Japan's work culture that I've experienced firsthand, or have witnessed from a third-person perspective in my own working environments. The main character of this show is Big Cat. He's a middle-aged lion stuck in the rut of middle management, accompanied by his co-workers, a toucan and a lizard. Perhaps the most incredibly funny, yet poignant member of this cast is President Turtle, who is a true embodiment of Japan's corporate culture in terms of leadership. He's super old, well past his usefulness, egregiously slow to change, and his only role is to maintain the status quo in a system that is in dire need of reform in regards to his treatment of employees, work-life balance, and salary. And speaking of which, and this is more of just a side note, but salary in Japan doesn't exactly have the same meaning as it does in a country like the US. So in the States, your salary is a set pay regardless of if you work more or less than a 40-hour work week, and even then, depending on your annual income, say if you make less than $35K a year, you can still be entitled to overtime pay. And if you get sick or need a personal day, most businesses with salaried employees will give you a set amount of these paid days per year. In Japan, however, there are no sick or personal days, so if you don't do it the Japanese way and tough out that flu at work with a face mask, you will be docked pay for that day. Even if you contribute a half day, you will still only be paid half of a day. So salary jobs here are really just hourly jobs, but without the overtime benefit of those hourly jobs. So like in the US, most hourly employees are entitled to time and a half for every hour of overtime, with some jobs paying double around the holidays. In Japan, lots of companies have a threshold of anywhere between 20 to even 40 hours of overtime that you have to work in order to be paid at all. So you could put in 10 or 15 hours of overtime and gain nothing but the meaningless approval of your superiors higher up on the corporate ladder. And that's why I love the corporate drone skit of episode 2 when Toucan started looking for a new job right in front of President Turtle's face after he makes a ridiculous non-work related demand and offers little to no compensation for it. Another skit that stood out to me was Africa Diet, where Big Cat laments over his physical condition and how it could affect his future employment. And this is an aspect of work culture that not a lot of people know about. So once a year, Japanese companies will conduct a physical exam for their employees. It seems like a nice gesture since it's free, but the results of these tests are given to the head official, supervisor, manager, CEO, or president, whomever. There is no confidentiality, and your personal health is company business. And it's graded from A to F, and this grade can potentially have a major impact on your ability to move up within a given company. Now, unless you're a solid A or B, don't get your hopes up too high for that promotion. It sounds archaic, it sounds discriminatory, and it is. But it's even the little things that Africa no Salaryman touches on that really nail the daily life of an office worker. Like in the corporate slave skit where Toucan has a moment of enlightenment about just how pointless, costly, and life-draining meetings are. And trust me, Japan loves meetings. Nothing gets accomplished, nothing gets done. It's absolute soul cancer, and they continue to do it anyway. Another moment that stood out was how Toucan casually brushes off Lizard's suggestion that he stop cheating on his girlfriend. And yeah, that is one of the little things here, a very little thing. Cheating is as common as breathing in Japan. I work near Kabukicho, which is the red light district of Tokyo's Shinjuku ward, and it's a normal sight to see salarymen heading off to hostess clubs or girls' bars or massage parlors after work to get a little affection before heading home, or even sneaking off with a coworker. Now, although I think Aggretsuko does a better overall job in its depiction of the daily lives of average company employees in Japan, since it also has prominent male characters, Africa no Salaryman does a pretty good job further exploring what men talk and think about in regards to working in Japan. But I'm hoping this anime can delve just a little bit deeper into the life of a salaryman, both good and bad parts, because Aggretsuko was able to maintain its style of humor while still showing the ugly sides of Japanese work culture, particularly with characters like the aforementioned Anai. Speaking of which, if you haven't already, check out my Aggretsuko video about Anai at the top right to see what working life can be like for new hires fresh out of college. And check out the description to find out how you can be a part of my future videos. I'll be back again very soon, but until then, sayonara, suckers.